My name is Daniel. I'm 37, married to Emily for 8 years. Our marriage wasn't flawless, but I believed it was solid. We had routines, private jokes, the kind of comfort that comes from knowing someone so well you can read their moods before they speak. At least, I thought that was still true. The change didn't hit all at once, but it grew impossible to ignore. Emily's phone, once casually left on the counter, was now always face down, locked behind a new password. Her predictable work schedule began filling with late dinners and team outings. I didn't want to assume the worst. I told myself she deserved privacy, that maybe I was overthinking. But doubts stack up, small bricks piling into a weight that presses on your chest until it becomes unbearable. The breaking point came one Friday evening. She said she had plans with colleagues. Instead of sitting home, worrying, I decided to surprise her. I drove to the restaurant she'd mentioned, telling myself it was curiosity, not suspicion. The moment I walked in, my heart stopped. She wasn't with a group, just her and one man, seated near the window. He leaned close as he spoke, his hand brushing hers like he'd done it countless times before. She laughed, truly laughed, a sound I hadn't heard in months. That laugh had once been mine. For a moment, I felt rooted to the floor, the ground slipping away. My wife, the woman who used to say I was the only one who could make her laugh after a bad day, was giving that joy to someone else. I didn't storm over. I didn't yell. I asked the waiter for a table far enough away to see, but not be seen. My hands shook holding the menu, though my eyes never left them. Every smile, every lean, every subtle touch felt like a knife. I thought about leaving, pretending I hadn't noticed. But then she picked up her phone and texted. A moment later, my own buzzed in my pocket. Dinner's running late. Don't wait up. Something inside me snapped. She was lying in my face while laughing at another man's jokes. I didn't yell. I didn't act rash. Instead, a cold clarity settled over me. If she wanted to live in deceit, she would dig her own hole. I quietly paid my bill and left before she noticed. The next morning, over breakfast, she acted normal, asked about my day, mentioned errands, gave me the half-smile she used when feigning innocence. I answered calmly, storing the memory of last night like a card in my pocket. I wasn't ready to play it yet. For weeks, I watched and noted late meetings, feigned exhaustion, every suspicious gesture. My patience wasn't weakness. It was strategy. Then came the dinner party with friends. Emily insisted, seemingly excited, and there he was, the same man from the restaurant. He greeted her with familiarity, some unspoken connection. She blushed, covering it with a laugh. My suspicion had become undeniable fact. I observed them through the evening. Stolen glances, private jokes, laughter that was too warm. She kept checking for my attention, unaware that I had already set my plan in motion. I stayed calm through the first course, sipping my drink while she leaned too close to him. People who hide secrets always underestimate how much others notice. Every touch, every glance, every whisper seared into me, but I gave nothing away. I focused on what I prepared. A week earlier, after piecing it all together, I had written a note, not a confrontation, no dramatic speech, just the unassailable truth, folded neatly, tucked in my jacket, waiting for the right moment. When Emily excused herself from the restroom during dessert, I acted. I slipped the folded note onto her plate, unnoticed by anyone else. She returned, smiling, unaware of the silent balm waiting for her. When her eyes fell on the paper, the smile froze. She picked it up, unfolded it, and read, "I was at the restaurant that night. I saw you. We're done." No yelling, no chaos, just the truth impossible to deny. Her fork clattered, hands trembling. The man beside her looked bewildered, asking if she was all right. She didn't answer, eyes locked on the note as if it were a weapon pointed straight at her. The table's chatter faded as the room sensed something wrong. I said nothing, letting silence stretch. Her guilt betrayed her more than I ever could. She tried to speak, but words failed. He reached for her shoulder, and she recoiled as though his touch burned. I stood, straightened my jacket, and looked at her one last time. You always laugh when you thought I wasn't watching, I whispered, just for her. But I had seen everything. The room was quiet. No one knew the full story. But they didn't need to. Her expression spoke volumes. Without waiting for a reply, I walked out. That night, I packed a bag and left. There was no fight, no argument. She had already destroyed what we had. I wouldn't waste a single word convincing her otherwise. The next morning, her messages flooded my phone. Apologies, excuses, pleas to talk. But the image of her laughing with him, alive in ways she hadn't been with me for months, replayed in my mind. I didn't need her words. I had heard enough lies. Friends reached out in the following weeks, confused. I didn't tarnish her name. I simply said we were over. People could draw their own conclusions. The note had already said everything that mattered. And the strange thing? After the initial pain, I felt lighter. For months, suspicion had gnawed silently. Seeing confirmed was bitter, yes, but also liberating. No more guessing. No more waiting for honesty that never came. Closure doesn't always come from long talks or dramatic confrontations. For me, it came from a few words on paper and the look on her face when she read them. It wasn't revenge or triumph. It was clarity. Now, when I think back to that night, the laughter, the note, the silence, I don't hear her anymore. I hear my own voice, steady, certain, choosing myself over betrayal. The most powerful thing I ever said to her wasn't shouted. It was written.